Okay, let's have a quick review of ASP.NET MVC architecture. So when a request arrives at our application, MVC framework hands off that request to an action in a controller. This action most of the time returns a view, which is then parsed by Razor View Engine, and then eventually HTML markup is returned to the client. So in this approach, HTML markup is generated on the server and then returned to the client. There is an alternative way to generate HTML markup. We can generate it on the client. So instead of our actions returning markup, they can return raw data. Now you might ask, what is the benefit of this approach? Well, there are a number of benefits. One is that returning raw data to the client requires less of server resources. By delegating the task of generating HTML markup to the client, we can free up server resources and potentially improve the scalability of our application, because each client will be responsible for generating their own views. The second benefit is that raw data often requires less bandwidth than HTML markup, so the data potentially arrives faster at the client, and this can improve the perceived performance of the application. Now, just to clarify, we're not talking about significant performance improvements here, but overall, the application may appear to be a bit more responsive. The third benefit of this approach is that we can build a broad range of clients, like mobile and tablet apps. These apps simply call our endpoints, get the data, and generate the view locally. We call these endpoints data services or web APIs because they just return data, not markup. Now, these are not just for building mobile and tablet apps. Other websites can consume our web APIs and build new functionality. For example, many popular websites like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter expose public data services which we can consume in our web applications. We can merge their data with the data in our application and provide new experiences to the user. So these are the benefits. And by the way, these data services are not only for getting data. We can have services for modifying data, like adding a customer. Now, the framework we use to build these data services is called ASP.NET Web API. This framework was developed after ASP.NET MVC, but it follows the same architectural principles. So it has routing, controllers, actions, action results, and so on. There are a few minor differences that you will learn about in this section. In the next version of ASP.NET MVC, called ASP.NET Core 1.0, Microsoft has merged these two frameworks into a single unified framework. But ASP.NET Core is not ready yet, and it's going to take a few more months until it's finally released. So with ASP.NET Web API, we can build web APIs or data services that can be consumed by a broad range of clients. Now, as far as this course is concerned, we're not going to build a mobile app around our web APIs because that's really beyond the scope of this course. But I'm going to show you some really useful applications of web APIs. For example, instead of generating the HTML markup for the list of customers, we can expose a web API to return the list of customers, and then we use a jQuery plugin called Data Table to generate this table on the client. This plugin gives us pagination, searching, and sorting out of the box. We don't have to write any additional code for that.